If you are ready to exit your lazy girl era and step into your productive girl era, then this is the video for you. Because productivity lies in your daily routine, in your everyday life. It's not always wanting to do more, it is doing what you've been procrastinating for such a long time. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we are going to go through some tips and tricks on how to be more productive. The video chapters are here as usual. There is the morning routine, there is the working day, in which I'm going to share with you some productivity hacks that you can implement into your day, and there is the evening routine. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first chapter is the morning routine. Your morning, the way you spend your morning is so important because it sets the tone of your entire day. If you wake up on the wrong foot, then you won't be able to be productive, to do the things that you've been wanting to do, because you already set the tone in the morning for your bad day. Whereas if you wake up on the right foot, then your day will be so much more productive. And the key here is to wake up early and have a slow morning routine. This can look like lighting a candle while doing your makeup, listening to music, dancing in the morning, anything that brings you joy. So do something in the morning with which you can romanticize your life, because the ultimate goal is to bring something into our morning routines that brings us joy. Because, for example, if you think about it, when you wake up and the first thing that comes into your mind is that you have so much work to do today, you have to go to school, you have to go to uni, then you won't want to wake up, because that is a must. And when we must do something, we naturally don't want to do it. So do something in the morning that brings you joy. And that can, for example, be going to the gym. And there are multiple ways to look at this. So for example, a person may say that going to the gym is a chore. But another person might say that it is something that is already a win. And if you start your day with a win, then you will have a more productive day. Whereas if you would be just sitting in your bed and scrolling on your phone all day. So you can change your mindset. And of course, you don't have to start your day with gym. So if you don't like going to the gym, but you want to work out and move your body, then for example, try going to dance classes in the morning. Anything is good that brings you joy, because it sets a good tone for your entire day. And if you put effort into yourself in the morning, then that will boost your confidence so much, and that will get you a more productive day. The second chapter is the working day and some tips and tricks which you can implement to have a better working day. The first one is time blocking. Time blocking is a time management technique in which you set yourself a certain amount of time and you have only that amount of time to study a subject, to do a task, whatever. So for example, I say that I have 1 hour to study this subject, and then I only have 1 hour. And it is easier to start because you know that you only have to do this for 1 hour, and that's it. And also you need to avoid saying that you have to work all day, because that will signal to your brain that it is again a must, and then you won't want to do it, and you start your day with resistance. Time blocking is also great because 3 hours of focused work, of concentrated work, is so much better than 6 or 9 hours of constantly getting on your phone, not being able to focus, taking breaks. It is so much better, and it takes less amount of time and you make more out of it. The second hack is the Pomodoro technique. I'm sure you've heard of this. It is very popular, but it is basically that you, for example, give yourself 25 minutes of studying and then you have 5 minutes of break. And then once again, 25 minutes studying, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes studying, 5 minutes break. And this doesn't allow you to take breaks in between, to take breaks in the studying session, but you can take a break, you can eat something, drink something in those 5 or 10 minutes of breaks, whatever you choose for yourself. Of course, if you are more tired, then perhaps 10 minutes of a break is better. But if you are just starting out or just starting your studying day, then maybe 5 minutes of a break is enough for you. The third hack that really helped me as well is to plan your day. Schedule when you are going to learn or when you are going to do your tasks. So for example, you can do this, especially it is the best when you do this on your Sundays, because your Sundays are also for rest but also for planning your week. So you do not have to think and you do not have to put more energy into planning your days and to thinking about what I have to do, what I don't have to do, because that is already planned. So it is great to schedule your time and schedule what you are going to do and when you are going to do that. So you don't have to think about when you are going to do. You can do this on your phone, you can do this in a calendar. There are different applications that you can use on your phone. But this is great, so you don't have to waste or you don't have to use more energy onto thinking about what you have to do. You just only have to do it, and that will allow you to start earlier. And you will then again save time. Fourthly, you can use pressure to your advantage. Now, what do I mean by this? So for example, when you study at a library or when you go to a cafe where other people are studying, working, and perhaps you're on your phone and all the other people are there studying, focused, working, then you will feel guilty for also only scrolling on your phone and not doing anything useful, because the other people around you are doing useful things. And you can use this pressure to start and to actually do the work that you have to do. This is why I always advise you to go to a cafe, go to a library, go something that is out of your desk, because it will give you so much motivation. And also starting is the hardest part. So the fifth technique is the 5-minute routine. That is the most basic routine or the most basic technique, because you say to yourself that you only have to study this subject for 5 minutes. You only have to work for 5 minutes. And always starting is the hardest part. And if you tell your brain that this is only 5 minutes, then you will start easier compared to if you had to do that for 12 hours straight. Because of course, it is so much more difficult to start something if you have to do it for such a long time than if you tell yourself that this will only take 5 minutes. And starting is the hardest part. So when you have already started, you are okay. The sixth technique is to shut your phone down, to leave it in another room, put it in your cupboard, put it anywhere that it is not inside and you cannot grab it and scroll on it, because your phone can be so disturbing and it can take away so much of your attention. So it is great to just leave it in another room, leave it downstairs, upstairs, whatever, so that it isn't in the same space as you. And that way it cannot take away your attention. The seventh, you need to increase your motivation. But how do you do that? A great way to increase your motivation is actually to just look up TikTok, look up on your YouTube and search the thing that you're studying. So for example, if you are in a medicine university, then look at TikTok videos in which people are studying medicine and other people are in the same university as you, or of course in other countries, but they are studying the same subject and they are studying. And that will boost your motivation so much, because once again, you see that the other people around you are doing the same thing. And also, that's also great to actually just get a couple of strategies with which they may be working with. So for example, that can also help you with your studying. But ultimately, we cannot rely on motivation. We have to rely on discipline. But nobody is born with discipline. Discipline is something that you can build. But building this discipline is not easy. That is why you should always start with the easiest thing. So for example, if your ultimate goal is to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, and now you're always waking up at 10 a.m. So you cannot wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning and expect yourself to do that every day after waking up at 10 a.m. for years. Firstly, you should set yourself to wake up, for example, 20 minutes earlier. Do that for 1 week. Then wake up 40 minutes earlier. Do that for another week. And that way, you will be able to build motivation so much more stably than if you would just say that from tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. And yes, you may be able to do that for 2 or 3 days, but then you will feel so tired because the change is so big. But when you do that in smaller steps, you still achieve the ultimate goal, which is waking up at 6 a.m. Eighth, if you have loads of work to do, practice separation. So what do I mean by this? For example, you have your day, you have 6 hours of work to do. That may be a lot for you, that may be not that much, but let's say you have 6 hours of work to do. So for example, in the morning, you do 2 hours of work, you do that at home. Then after lunch in the afternoon, you do another 2 hours of work, but you do that, for example, in a library. And then in the evening, you do another 2 hours of work, but you do that in a cafe. And this way, you didn't do those 6 hours of work in one time, but you split them up and you had breaks in between, and you also changed your space. And that gave you motivation and gave you something new. And it gave you so much motivation that you could do it so much better. Whereas if you would just be sitting at your desk in front of your computer for 6 hours, that would be so boring and you wouldn't be able to start, and that would lead to procrastination. And finally, the 9th technique is rest. Allow yourself to rest. Because yes, you can work so much, and yes, you may have to work so much, but if you always work and always study and you don't allow yourself to rest, then you will burn out easily. And burnout will be the cost of all of your dreams, because you won't be able to work and to continue doing what you want to do. So in order to avoid burning out, you have to allow yourself to rest. And it is okay to implement rest days. It is okay to not always bring your 100%, because we are humans. We cannot do 100% every day, because that is just not natural and it is not the way we are. You need to let yourself be happy and to let yourself enjoy your life, because that is what will get you going in the long run. It is not doing work every day and not even looking at the small wins, the happiness that is surrounding you, because you are always and constantly just looking at the work you have to do, what you have already done. And yes, that is great, because you can be proud of yourself for doing all of the things, but you have to let yourself rest in between. And finally, the 3rd chapter is evening routine. Your evening routine should be as slow as your morning routine. It can also mean lighting your candle, listening to calming evening music, reading, meditating, whatever brings you peace and whatever calms you down after a long day. But also bring something into your evening that once again brings you joy, because if in the evening you are thinking about what you have to do tomorrow, then you will not be able to rest properly, and that will cost you your day's productivity, the day that comes after. So once again, same as with your morning routine, the evening routine should also contain something that brings you peace and that brings you joy and that calms you down so that you can rest properly. So thank you for watching. With implementing all of these tips and tricks, hacks, morning routine and evening routine, you will be the most productive version of you. But remember, always allow yourself to rest in between. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!